a silly thing love is. It's not half as useful as logic.
Seeing my paintings start to move and come alive is an exhilarating experience. It's definitely, by the widest margin, the most collaborative process that I've ever experienced. That is very, very rich, but at the same time, extremely challenging. As the painter, where I'm used to having complete control, there's still a quality of anxiety that I have around that.
We're taking Dell and what I would call Dell's magic into a much more challenging and confrontational stage. Animation's not cheap, it's not easy, and there's very specialised skills that you need. Dell is a really hands-on creative person, so she likes being, ideally with a paintbrush in her hand, you know, she likes being right amongst it, and that's the challenge for her, is that there is no paintbrush in this case. Having said that, there is also a practical element to this film where we are doing not just digital animation, but physical, practical animation as well.
Looking at her work and feeling the detail and scale of everything, a technique that could pay tribute to that detail but actually live on a screen was one of the #1 issues we were looking at the very beginning.
We only had so many of the paintings from the book, so there was a lot that we had to recreate. Obviously, Dell, coming from the fine arts world, being able to understand how she sees things and trying to get inside her head, we were learning each other's language.
We'd create a still frame from the original sources and assemble them in a way that we felt like it was working really nicely, and that would be the starting point.
There was a number of months of just testing. What happens if we take this element here and make it move? How does that look? And so we just go through that process over and over again and just do different animation styles, different animation techniques, to be able to then come up with the final feel for how the moving imagery would actually be represented on the screen. It's almost like repainting the whole of the bird or the daughter or the student again onto a 3D mesh. The live action elements is something which Liz then constructed through crafting of paper and texturing and then, you know, printing out Dell's artwork.
The daughter was definitely a combination. I made her dress life-size, and then I made her hair, which was attached to a 3D head, and the head was then attached to 2D body, a stop frame live action. She's pretty complex in the sense of a character.
Because we're using a stop motion feel and effect, it's more about taking it into an edit, timing it out, which then matches whatever the emotion of the scene is. As soon as you get the professional actors' voices in that, kind of then sparks a new feeling and emotion into the shot. We need to lower that whole tone down because Geoffrey Rush's voice is so low.
Why is he weeping? Why?
Why? Why?
He is weeping for a red rose.
Moving through what originated as a static image in a way that could tell the story and still be true to the images, that was probably the biggest challenge, I think. The scale of everything and the detail that we put into it really paid off. The key was this unique feel at the end of it all, that you could look at some of the scenes and just, you can't work out at what point the handcrafted elements stop and the digital elements start, and especially when it comes to the Nightingale, that was an amazing amalgamation of everything just in that one character.
Give me a red rose and I will sing you my sweetest song.
My rose is as white as the foam of the sea. But go to my brother, and perhaps he will give you what you want.